welcome to Fill in the Food. And today, I can't wait to share with you an incredible dish, perfect for the summertime, smashed cucumber salad. Now, if you know me, you know that I love cucumbers. They're one of my favorite things to have kicking around. As we head to the doldrums of summer when it's hot every day, these gardens are pumping out cucumbers all over the place. At the farmer's market, there's gonna be such a great variety. But for the first time this week, I found at Balakian Farms, these beautiful Armenian cucumbers. These are my favorite. They're the crunchiest, the crispiest, incredibly thin-skinned. The seeds are very small and not really bitter. They're sweet and just absolutely incredible. And these work so well. Sometimes when you find these, you also find a type of cucumber called serpentine cucumbers, and those work great for this as well. And what's cool about these is that they always have these cool little bendies, and they're kind of never just typically cucumber shaped, which makes me feel like they're a little bit more authentic if I'm being honest. And so these are awesome. I also picked up some Japanese cucumbers at a farm called the Peach Farm. These are perfect for this dish as well. Also thin-skinned, very small seeds. And if you can find Persian cucumbers, those will work great. I mean, you can find Persian cucumbers at the grocery store, Trader Joe's, wherever. And if you have a farmer's market source for them, even better. I would avoid Kirby cucumbers. They're a little bit too leathery in the skin department. The skin's a little too thick. Same with Euro cucumbers, which you would think that that was thin enough, but it's just not. And then also those kind of regular grocery store cucumbers, avoid them. Don't use them for this recipe. Slice them, serve them with, you know, dip or whatever for your crudité, but don't use them for a smashed cucumber salad. Now, this recipe today is certainly closer to a recipe than to a cooking method, which is typically how I like to cook and teach by cooking method, you know, searing or braising or something like that. And that's okay. Sometimes in your repertoire, you have a couple of very specific dishes, and this is kind of one of them. This technique of smashing these cucumbers actually makes these a little bit more cucumbery. There are two compounds in cucumbers that are kind of sequestered from each other, but when you smash the cells and those liquids mix, you get extra cucumber deliciousness. And so that's why we're smashing cucumbers today. This is a great one to do with kids. It can also be done vegan by omitting just one of the ingredients in the dressing, which we'll show you in a second. And so join me as we make a smashed cucumber salad today. Perfect for summertime, great with fish or meat or on its own. It's gonna be delicious. Let's go. This recipe is gonna take you 4 or 5 minutes of busy work, and then you're really letting it sit for up to 40 minutes or an hour. You can make this ahead overnight if you wanted to, and it's even better if you ask me. But if you don't have that time, put it all together as soon as you can, and that's fine as well. First thing I have to do is I have to cut up my cucumbers and then smash them. So I'm gonna take my cucumbers here, and I like to work in small usable lengths in my hand. And so I'm gonna trim the ends off my cucumbers and get rid of those. Those go away. And then I'm gonna cut my cucumber down. If you have a big bend in your cucumber like I have here in mine, I like to cut it right at that bend to make it a little bit less awkward later. And so I will take this and cut this down into 3 different lengths. And then I wanna cut them in half lengthwise so they sit flat on my cutting board. So I do so like that. Very simple. And you can see how cutting it right in that corner makes it a little bit easier to do that. I will take these and I will kind of move what I don't need off to the side. I set these down flat side down, and I will take my chef's knife here, and with the blade facing away from me, I'm going to place this on here and just pop the cucumber until it cracks. You'll hear it audibly crack, and of course you'll see it. And I'm just bruising that cucumber a little bit. I'll set that aside in my bowl. This is a great part where the kiddos come in. Once you have these cut flat, you can beat them up with the bottom of a saute pan or a rolling pin if you have it. You're not smashing these like you're mad at them. And so this is not what I would call a stress relieving recipe. If that's what you're after, make like, you know, veal scallopini or something, and you know, you can pound the bejesus out of it. But these cucumbers, I'm just looking to bruise up those cells a little bit so they release that water and that liquid, and we're good to go. I've got my Japanese cucumbers. Now, if the seed beds fall out, that's okay. We're gonna scrape some of those seeds out anyway, and so I'm just gonna do that with my other 2 little Japanese cucumbers here. Okay, now that I've smashed my cucumbers, I've cleaned up all of my cucumber shrapnel that's everywhere. I've got my smashed cucumbers here in a bowl. I want to scrape out any big seed beds that I find, and so I've got a little plate here. And again, if you're gonna serve this immediately and you're not gonna let them sit like we're gonna talk about here, then you don't have to go about this. That's fine. I've done this 100 times without scraping this out. And these cucumbers have such small seed beds, it's not a big deal if you don't do this. But if you do have some of those Persian cucumbers, I know those always have a seed bed that can be a little bit aggressive sometimes. I mean, small compared to your grocery store, you know, run-of-the-mill cucumbers, but different for sure. So scraping these down, getting all these seeds out of the way. Seeds can be a little bit bitter, not what we're going for. All right, so I'm cleaning up from all my cucumber shrapnel. Now I need to get my smashed cucumbers into a bowl. I'm gonna season these with salt and sugar in almost like a quick little cure. And the reason we use salt and sugar is because that salt and sugar are hygroscopic. They're gonna pull the water in the cells of the cucumber that we've bruised to the surface. And the beauty is that because we have bruised those cells, they're starting to release some of that liquid. Remember we talked about how the two separate components, as they mix, they create a better flavor? Well, as they swim towards the surface, they mix even more. So we get a cucumber that's a little bit more compact and crisp. We also get a cucumber that has extra cucumber flavor. So I've got some kosher salt, 2 good pinches, probably 2/3 of a tablespoon, and then 1 good pinch of sugar. Now it's important to note, sugar is only used to counteract the salinity of the salt. If you don't have sugar, then just go a little bit later on the salt, that's okay. And again, if you want to skip this curing step, that's absolutely fine. Dress it and go if you don't have the time to let this sit. Okay, I mix these all together, just quickly, nothing to it. And I've got a little basket strainer. If you got a colander, that works just as well. Into the basket strainer and into the bowl. And this is gonna sit for about a half an hour at room temp or in the fridge, 6 of one, half dozen the other, and it's gonna be delicious. So now the waiting begins. Okay, while my cucumbers are hanging out over there with the salt and the sugar, pulling all the moisture out of them, I'm gonna make a quick dressing. And my favorite find of 2019 was Chili Crisp. This is officially called chili oil with black bean, but Chili Crisp is what it's kind of known as in the food world. And so I bought a huge jar. This usually comes in small jars, but I love this stuff so much. It's not too spicy despite the name. It's garlicky and funky and just delicious, lots of umami. And I like the one with the fermented black beans in it. You can get it without fermented black beans if that's not your thing. And so this is just jazzing this kind of chili crisp up as a dressing. This is not a vinaigrette technique by any means. And so very simple. I've got a bowl. I'm just gonna throw a couple tablespoons of this in there. It doesn't take a whole lot. This has usually got this like jet red oil with it. And so this is just, it's just yummy and funky and delicious and really fun. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of my trusty seasoned rice wine vinegar. If you don't have this, champagne vinegar, maybe a little bit of lime would be fine. You just need a little bit of acid. And if you don't have seasoned rice wine vinegar, you have regular rice wine vinegar, also totally fine. Absolutely 100% fine. A little bit of soy sauce. This is a little bit of shoyu soy sauce, which is a type of soy sauce. You can use tamari if you're gluten-free. This adds, again, a little bit of umami and salt to the dish. Now, the one thing I add to this that makes it not vegan is fish sauce. I'm running low, but I'm gonna use the rest of it in there. I love fish sauce, but omit it if you want to. Again, tons of umami, salty, just funky. If you get it on your finger, it's a bad day. If you break a bottle in your car, drive right to the used car lot and try to get whatever you can for it. That smell's never coming out. Ask me how I know. Last but not least, just a little drizzle of olive oil. Again, this has some oil with it. I'm running low, and so it's a little bit low on oil compared to what it is when you start with a new jar. And so, last but not least, a couple of cloves of garlic, and I'm gonna microplane them. Gone are the days where I'm chopping garlic with a knife on my cutting board. I only ever microplane them. And so, microplane this down into a fine paste, and finish up our dressing. Okay, I'm gonna stir this around a little bit just to mix it through, give it a quick taste. I love that raw garlic in there. It gives you that little bit of spicy punch of heat and just that pungency of raw garlic. Yum, umami, absolutely delicious. I'm gonna set this aside, and when our cucumbers are done kind of curing with the salt and sugar, we're gonna mix this all together. We're almost finished. Okay, it's been about 35 minutes, 40 minutes. I got distracted shopping for sneakers. And so I've got my cucumbers here, and look at the water they've released. They've released a couple of tablespoons of water. This is beautiful and delicious and cucumbery and salty and sweet. It's great. If you're making margaritas, throw it in your margarita. It's more of a bourbon day for me, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. So that goes bye-bye. All of my cucumbers back into my bowl. Now, a very simple finish off here. I'm gonna go with some torn cilantro that I'm just gonna throw in there. Nothing crazy. I'm not even gonna bother chopping it, just rip it up. And if you wanna do red onion, you could do red onion in here. That would be fine and delicious as well. But so, that goes in there. Our dressing over the top. I don't think I'm gonna use all that dressing. I made a little bit more than I need to. Oh, this is gonna be good. Okay, grab a little spoon here. Should have grabbed a bigger spoon. I got a bigger spoon right here. Now what we're gonna do is spoon this in. Oh, that looks so yummy and so delicious, doesn't it? Ooh. Now again, this served with a little bit of rice and a little grilled pork chop or a piece of fish, a little piece of seared salmon would be absolutely yummy. A quick and easy dinner. And again, if you don't have time to let them sit, then there's no need to. You absolutely don't have to do that. That is okay. And so, oh, you know, let's garnish this with some sesame seeds. I've got some toasted sesame seeds here. That would be pretty yummy as well. Right over the top. Okay, this is amazing. All right, we've got our salad dress. Let's give it a taste. Mmm. That is so delicious and crunchy. You probably hear the crunch. Mm. Dang, that's good. Well, I hope you make this at home. I hope you enjoy cucumbers as much as I do. Seek out the Armenian cucumbers. They're worth finding if you're here in Northern California. The AIM farmers markets have farms that often have these, and I got these today again at Balakian Farms, so check them out. Such a good time today. This is a bowl of summertime, and I hope you have a great summer. Thanks for checking out Phil and the Food. As always, hit the subscribe button. Find us on Instagram. We would love to have you. We can't wait to see you next time. Make some cucumber salad. Go sit outside. Hey, before you go, I got one more thing I want to talk to you about really quickly. The food business is, much like the rest of America, wildly disproportionate in terms of race, and the people who have leadership roles and the industry leaders. I'm so lucky to have met so many great people in my career and to know so many great chefs and farmers and artisans who are not just Caucasian white people. And I've recently kind of dedicated myself to making sure that I shop at Black-owned farms, which make up less than 4% of the farms in America and less than 1% in the Bay Area. But I have an opportunity to talk to you really quickly about my knife that I used in my demo today. This was made by Quintin Middleton in South Carolina. Quintin owns Middleton Made Knives. He hand makes all of his own knives, and these are absolutely incredible. I found out about Quintin through the Cook It Raw food program, where I was reading about it, and they featured Quintin for good reason. His products are just gorgeous and incredible. And I had a little bit of a chef crush on Sean Brock at the time, and Matt Jennings. And as I followed those guys started talking about how Quintin made them some knives, and they were so beautiful. So I found myself in South Carolina. I called up Quintin. He invited me to his shop, and he finished making this knife in front of me. At the end, he said, "Hey, do you want to buy this?" And I said, "Yes." And it's really become one of my treasured knives in my kit, my collection. You may see all the knives on the wall that I have over there, but this is one that I absolutely cherish. I only use it for very special things. And I wanted to make sure I talked to you about it. Check out his Instagram page, his website, buy and support some products, and buy some stuff from Quintin and Middleton Made Knives. And do me a favor, go out of your way to learn about Black-owned farms in your area, support them, find Black artisans who are making great tools for our trade, and shop and eat at Black-owned businesses and restaurants in your area, okay? Black Lives Matter, and it's important that we do what we can to shorten the gap and cover the gap of racial disparity in our industry and make sure we do right by our people. Okay, that's it for now. See you next time.